So yes, we are going to move on. 3 o'clock, we are heading, and thank you guys. You can go ahead and pop off video. We're heading into our next session with Ken and Diana from Datalogic, and Ken, who is our VP of Business Development here at Barcoding. So I don't think I had a chance to introduce you last time. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys take it from here, but welcome and happy Supply Chain Geek Day.
Thanks, Jody. So for those of you that are here with us, Datalogic is a global manufacturer of automated identification systems. And as most of you know by now, on June 26, 1974, at Marsh Supermarket in Troy, Ohio, the first commercial barcode scan happened. It was a pack of Wrigley's gum, and it occurred on a Datalogic Model A scanner. In addition to scanners and mobile computers, Datalogic is also a leader in advanced and emerging automation systems like sensors and laser marking systems, vision systems, and stationary industrial scanners. Pleased to introduce Diana Melick, and what I will say, I'll plug the book Mindset that Jody had brought up earlier. Diana is a great testament to following the principles of that book. Diana, I don't know if you know about this book, but I'm going to send you a copy. I have a few here, unless you've already read it. Diana is based in New York City, so a lot of reading time or in the New York area. It's hard to get outside of the house, at least right now. But she also has a bachelor's in applied science in both chemistry and German. And she speaks more languages than most of us have in fingers on one of our hands, at least my left hand, for example. I won't tell you about the right. But Diana's a lifelong learner, and she loves to bring customer problems to life. She operates as an interlocutor between her engineering team and her customer's operations department. Diana manages the transportation and logistics practice in vertical for Datalogic in the US or in North America on the East Coast. And I'm pleased to introduce her and ask Diana what's going on in transportation logistics today. You're on mute too, by the way, Diana, but don't worry, I just learned how to use my camera earlier for those that were watching.
All right. Thank you so much, Ken. You're too kind. Beautiful introduction. Appreciate you covering Datalogic's long legacy in the barcode industry and hearkening back all the way to today's birthday event. So I'm so excited to be here as part of the Supply Chain Geek Day. And really gave a lot of thought and had a lot of good conversations around the type of challenges we see in the supply chain industry, and then bringing about solutions to all of our customers. And barcoding, the entire team has been fabulous in that area, and there's a lot of exciting development. To finish off the segue that John just presented, yes, we are certified with all of the due form applications on our portfolio of solutions, and we've actively been putting them into play already at different customers. And it's a very, very fast turnaround and gives you that complete solution set. Again, I'm delighted to be here. Thank you, and welcome everyone in the audience. If I may, I would like to use some slides as a backdrop to our discussion. Would that be good, Ken? Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, this should pull up the relevant one. Magic of technology here. Is it coming across?
It sure is, Diana. You'll just want to turn it to a slideshow.
Okay, I shall do so. It's that bouncing arrow everywhere. Slideshow button. There we go. Yes?
You're good.
All right, beautiful. So I was thinking about this intro page, you know, innovation trends in T&L that deliver. Yes, they deliver to the supply chain. And I said, well, this is a really boring slide. It was white and blue. I said, what else can I do to make it relevant to today and barcoding's terrific format? So I found, actually, if you can see my hand here, this is my stress reliever forklift, and it fits to my personality because I actually really did drive a forklift for 2 months in a warehouse. And then I found my coaster, which is actually a pallet, which everybody knows and loves in warehouses. So I kind of did a little photo montage with what I had here in hand, and I put it against the great backdrop from barcoding here. And it got me to think the way I staged it wasn't with any intent. It was just to put everything on the screen. And it turns out, I want to say this is a thank you to the whole industry. Every supply chain geek hero is doing the heavy lifting, much like this forklift here, doing the heavy lifting with the pallet. So you can see the support that everyone is providing into the supply chain industry, which in turn provides all those deliveries to the entire population that's undergoing the tough times with the COVID. So again, simply trying to illustrate, how all the touch points with innovation and trends come back down to the human and are really comprehensive, and it's end to end everywhere. So just a quick overview. I don't think we'll cover all of these points, Ken, but really kind of give a framework, because again, all good challenges and problems need to have some sort of structure to come up with practical solutions. So that's how I approach everything, including an opportunity to present today. So we'll go through some of the trends and evolutions and innovations in the marketplace. We work in these large 3 areas within transportation logistics that go into the supply chain, and there are outgrowths of it, and they're uniquely separated for Datalogic in terms of the solution sets. So the pure logistics, the couriers and postal area, and then the ever burgeoning e-commerce, which you can see I blew out and particularly relevant in the last couple months. And then we have 5 main areas of offerings that provide the practical solutions to these relevant markets. I just want to do a sound check, Ken. I'm a little mindful that my headset might not be optimal.
No, you sound great, Diana.
Okay, beautiful. All right, moving on. There we go. So again, to just really high level illustrate all of the quote fun and games, which makes me part geek-like because I've always loved board games. So I'm going to actually take this page one day and make it a real board game for everyone in the industry. Kind of shows you the evolution, as I mentioned earlier, from the very beginning of the receiving areas of goods all the way through, chutes and ladders out the door, then with your truck to the road to make the deliveries. And so a lot of incredible, solutions and touch points, and it's not just about the hardware, it's about the cohesive system to deliver. So let's go through some of the numbers, and I want to do a shout out to Brenda's presentation earlier with you, Ken, and all of her great metrics and data. It really goes to paint a concrete landscape and why it matters. So we've heard this many times throughout today. Android really taking over in terms of a lot of the practical handheld solutions. And here's the latest metric that we pulled together in the last week. So more than 2/3 and just really growing. And that growth is going forward, and soon I would estimate it would be close to 100% within a couple of years. But we're at a really good point now. Full touch devices, people managing their own devices, of course, not sharing them, are a good close to 2/3 of the handheld PDA segment, much like your cell phones, and that's been growing at a very nice clip as well, at an 8% CAGR. And then what's also happening in the background, we have to be very mindful of the tech refresh. It's at 3 years, maybe even a little less now. It's really that Moore's Law has really kicked in full throttle. So that's something Datalogic pays a lot of attention to, and we stay on top of it. And then our friends at Google really driving good things in the industry. I am very actually appreciative of it, particularly related to some work I did years past in Ireland related to security. Having quarterly security patches really takes away a lot of the anxiety for the customers and provides an underpinning of, robustness, if you will, from the nervous system and the brains and all of the solutions. So I think that's a very positive trend. And then lastly, of course, having, cellular connectivity. There's almost nowhere you go these days that you cannot be connected unless you happen to be in a cave in Austria. And I actually lived that example once with a customer solution. So that's why I mention it. So you may not get that type of connectivity if you're deep dark in a cave in Austria. So moving on to some additional trends in the logistics space. Obviously, this has been commonality throughout today's presentations by all the speakers: track and trace, making sure there's visibility across any and all platforms, wherever you may be. And that really improves the customer experience. And then having systems that are automated and processes that really take away a lot of those quote touch points, which is even more important now in the last 3-4 months with the COVID events. As a matter of fact, just yesterday afternoon, I had a gentleman call me out of Ohio, and he's like, help, we're doing everything manual, and I read you have automated solutions. Can you take me through some things that will take away all of the people picking things up and running around? And I'm like, okay, sure. We have lots of different possibilities. Let's step through some of the basics and the requirements, and we can figure out again, this problem solving thing. How do we bring automation to them that is easy to use, easy to understand, and solves their pain points in a stepwise way, and allows them to grow with their solutions. So automated processes will see great traction in the next 5 years. And then much as was mentioned earlier, having device commonality across a lot of different applications. So the users are not having to relearn things. Everything is integrated. It really helps them sustain their activities without having to pause and think about it again. What do I do here now? Really trying to make things easy to use. And then having artificial intelligence becoming more and more part of the whole supply chain flow, because it enables predictive shipping and then the route optimization. And to Brenda's point earlier, why would you want to know about traffic patterns, particularly like next door to me in New York City, right? It's you want to know when you get in there and deliver without burning gasoline and all sorts of other overhead costs. It makes a lot of different things happen in terms of revenue to the bottom line when you have these route optimizations, and you can capitalize on the data through artificial intelligence and other means. It really makes a difference to the businesses. And then this one, I'm sure everybody's seen it, but I saw it way before pre-COVID, up and down I-95 in New Jersey, down south towards DC, all the way to Florida. Refrigerated shipped goods, warehouses everywhere. One company in particular has had a tremendous growth, went from literally 2 refrigerated warehouses about 15 years ago. Now they have 35. Throughout the United States. And we're not talking small refrigerated warehouses. These are substantial. And these type of companies in the supply chain will thrive no matter what, even if they're the COVID days. One of the gentlemen I spoke with there, he said, you know what? Will always be feeding New York City, for example, right? Everybody's got to eat at some point, and frozen goods at different levels. He says the mix of goods may be different during the recessionary times. We may be freezing a lot more hot dogs and things of that nature compared to, say, high-end meats. But he says that the needs for our services and goods and having an efficient supply chain, because where they lose money is not having things delivered in a timely way because of the refrigeration and frozen requirements. So a very interesting market trend to watch and stay on top on and bring solutions to that are meaningful to their bottom lines. So great growth there all the way. We see it all the way through 2025, which is, huge, gives you longevity in revenue. And then I see this even in my little neighborhood here. I saw it twice, 2 days in a row while I was out for my lunchtime jog. This hyper local fulfillment, and it was literally on the side of the little minivan or mini truck. And so it's same day delivery of these different things. This has accelerated through the roof in the last couple months. And that's actually a perfect segue to my next overview presentation. What's happening, currently now and then after COVID. What can everyone expect in their supply chain businesses and the types of solutions that will be required? It's nice and interesting as a supply chain geek to work on a one-off, but does it really pay it, forward for replication and additional business? So really we're looking at trends to make sure the ones that are widely adopted now, they bolt in aspects that will continue to be relevant and be part of the kind of era going forward post-COVID, right? So we really stay very close to some of these aspects. So for example, some things we've built in is, having chemical resistant housings when you're scrubbing them for sanitation standpoints, or having wireless charging, inductive charging, so there's no damage to charging points when you have to do those cleanings. Additionally, looking at the reduction of devices that are shared, that may have a very important turning point in terms of the transition between mobile and stationary scanning solutions throughout these large distribution centers. So these are really important trends currently and then after COVID. And we're all staying very positive that there will be an after COVID. Some of the things we've put more thought into, and I think a lot of folks have seen this in different ways, but we've quantified it in terms of, where are the differences? We have worked with many different opportunities, and again, to really modernize and maximize what they have today and then going forward to allow them to grow. So here we're looking at a representation of goods to person. And that allows the operator to prepare the order in a very efficient way. And it's really the systems bringing the goods to them to allow for that consistent and reliable workflow, and that it will also allow them to expand out their types of solutions. And we've implemented this in a lot of different e-commerce applications across the entire United States, everything from the 900-pound gorilla in e-commerce down to the mom and pop type shops doing e-commerce because they no longer have the options for a brick and mortar store, for example, and food logistics. So the productivity has been close to 30 to 50% increase, depending where they are in the country and the systems they may or may not have had in play. So we've done a lot of solutioning in these areas where it's goods to person flow, and that can be automated in many different ways and step by step. And so here are some other practical examples of different types of goods to person fulfillment. Lots of different ways to, slice the bread to allow, again, the operator to really focus at the job at hand, that they're not running around in 6 directions. They're really focusing on order preparation. And it's consistent in terms of the data content that is then attached to that order, and it all integrates in a seamless way. And it really provides a very fast and quick turnaround time. So to talk about some of these examples, let's make it practical in terms of the solutions and benefits. So here we're looking at, one of them would be just on the human level, which I think is so incredibly important. And Shane mentioned this earlier, is, giving back to the human. Well, even in their daily workplace, helping them with something as invisible as ergonomics, but boy, do you feel it sometimes. And all of us have had these experiences in our lives, whether we're sitting behind the truck wheel for, 8 hours making a delivery or some other. Ergonomics are so important for anyone's daily happiness, so to speak. So having these types of hands-free benefits, allowing them to increase their productivity, but it's not impeding them in their movements. They're not losing a lot of time. They may even be picking up increased pay in terms of higher incentive rates being met because of the simplistic operations with the hands-free solutions. So this really is a twofold outcome of ergonomic mounting that helps all of the operators in these distribution centers for the supply chain. We also have then, again, interacting with the human, really allowing for, good visibility. So of a order that's been prepared and confirmation that it's good to go into the supply chain and moves along. Having that type of feedback enables folks, one, to feel reassured they've done their job correctly, and two, there's not a lot of fiddliness about, did I miss something? And then, having that kind of time taken away from their daily operations. We can also have a lot of these solutions very easily adjusted in terms of the type of goods that are moved about. There's all sorts of varieties and dimensions. Businesses change. E-commerce businesses change all the time in the type of sizes and types of goods and how do they want things prepared. So these are very quickly adjusted solution sets and allow the operator to continue their workflow on a daily basis. Overall, the hands-free solutions, we have a portfolio that allows a wide range to be simply adjusted with some intelligent software that's integrated into the solutions. And they're very straightforward in terms of the adjustments. It's a few line items that are changed, and they're agnostic to any warehouse management system. So again, really helping businesses in e-commerce and delivering to the supply chain to have easy flow of goods. And then lastly, when you think about hands-free, well, your hands aren't engaging with anything, but also the solution is not interfering with the human. There are no cables or cradles or other things going on. It's a very swift and clean type of solution set. Ken, if I may make a quick check, are there any questions in the queue?
Yeah.
Perhaps?
Wow, you're on cue because I was going to ask you to pause there. We have three of them. Let's start with the one that's most relevant. Can you
Sure.
talk about trends from that you see or that Datalogic sees from your perspective in going from humanless to maybe other systems like vision systems? What was the trend current times, pre-pandemic, and anything different or because of the COVID, the current COVID stuff?
Mm-hmm. So let me make a quick differentiation. Vision systems are often used for quality inspection, right, against a reference design or a reference product. So those type of solutions have been offered by Datalogic for many years, and we have a whole suite of different classes of solutions, and they do trend a little bit. There's a bit of an uptick, that people do want more of these quality checks, but lots of these have been in play for many years already, particularly in the pharmaceutical industry, for example. You want to make sure that your medications are genuine. There's lots of mitigation against counterfeiting, things of those nature. There is a slight uptick, I'd say additional 5%. People are saying, oh, I think, we could implement vision systems now as well, because that would free up some of the manual inspection, right? Again, having those additional hands and touch points, it's driving people, COVID is driving away processes that need that extra, quote, manhandling, if you will. But what we're finding is some of the trends are really driven by, what is most important in the business, who has what budget to tackle what, right? Because there's been such a hiatus in revenue streams in the last 3 months. So people are going, okay, what's my highest pain point right now in the supply chain? What problem do I need to solve first, right? So we'll work through them, and the portfolio that Datalogic plays in is not just in handheld barcoding or regular automation systems, but also this whole arsenal of vision systems. So it kind of flows over the barriers, if you will. So it's a continuum of solutions.
Great. Another question that we had is what you had talked earlier when we were talking about trends in mobile computing, and I think that you made a kind of a comment that shortened product life cycles. Typically life cycles that have now moved to around 3 years are commonplace, or at least the way that you guys are looking at the product development life cycle, right? How much of that has to do with Android, and how much of that has to do with strategy on Datalogic's part?
So we marry to the Google/Android strategy in terms of their OS underpinnings and how frequent. So we're part of their Google Mobile Services platform, and we work very closely to make sure that we are on top of integrating the next generation types of solutions and devices that we make. And we did our homework to enroll in the Google Mobile Services platform 2 years ago, and we certainly are convinced that it is the future for Datalogic.
And how have customers responded to that? I'm sure that a lot of your customers were used to buying devices and utilizing them, and maybe even depreciating them over a longer time horizon.
Mm-hmm. So make no mistake, we continue to support the entire legacy of Datalogic devices from many, many years ago on different OS platforms, and there's a very robust support program going out many years in the future for all of those. And again, we talk to our customers in terms of the solutioning, and then providing the pathways to grow with them. It's not just, a quick churn and burn, if you will, of a particular solution. So we really do consultative types of approaches in terms of making sure that it's not a one-off implementation.
Great. Two more questions. Maybe you want to pull the presentation down so we can see your smiling face. One of the questions is which trend is most disruptive to your supply chain, the Datalogic supply chain right now, and why?
Most disruptive, I think, well, very, short term is did this presentation go off? Okay.
Yep,
great.
you're looking good.
All right, thank you. So short term disruptive is really the revenue streams to our customer base, right? So they had been counting on, literally when everybody did their year full planning in December, looking forward, there was no consideration of a 3-month, hiccup or standstill of revenue stream. So obviously budgets have been reprioritized. What are the most critical things to work on? That's been a big disruptor. I don't think anybody would deny that, right? That's across every and all industries, whether supply chain or not. Now we have benefited from having continued our research and development innovation nonstop through this entire time. We're sort of silver lining lucky that COVID happens now. Everybody has the technology to work from home. I mean, we had, engineering heroes that braved it and went into offices and collected equipment and set up their garage shop or whatever to continue, building and, doing the proper things. And our customers have done the same. I've talked to so many customers. It's, they all go like, okay, we're going to suit up and go to our warehouse and do what we have to do. It's really been, I think, part of the American spirit to, really be resourceful and creative, and really, you know, everybody's desire to move forward and to recapture most of normal again.
Thanks so much, Diana. I think we nailed it on the time, and we're not going to get behind schedule on your watch and mine. So we'll turn it back over to you, Jody and Jennifer.
Thank you so much. All right, Jennifer, I believe you're up. So since you are here, I'm going to hop off.